Okay, we are live streaming. I'm going to call the meeting to order. To members of the public, our planning meeting this morning did go significantly over where we anticipated. This meeting was supposed to start at 11 a.m. It's now 2:04 p.m., but we will proceed through our council agenda today, starting from this point. At this time, I would like to remind council and members of staff that this meeting is being live streamed to the public. All council meetings are also recorded. Recordings will be available to the public on the township's YouTube account. Physical attendance of the public at this meeting is restricted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This meeting is held electronically under Bylaw 2020-70 to amend Procedural Bylaw 2018-117 pursuant to Section 238 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Now, I would just note I'd like to offer Councillor Wilmer's regrets. Councillor Wilmer is unable to attend this meeting. He asks that I read the following. I sincerely regret having to miss today's meetings, but must attend long-delayed medical appointments at the Ottawa General Hospital that are crucial to my health. Unfortunately, these appointments have been rescheduled several times due to the pandemic and now conflict with today's meetings. So Councillor Wilmer does send his regrets. We will not be doing the national anthem today due to the electronic Zoom meeting. We will omit it. I'll move to the adoption of the agenda. There are amendments to the agenda. To begin with, on in-camera session, the reasons for going in-camera session will be amended to include the security of the property of the municipality or local board and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. We also have an addition to the agenda under municipal reports. 9.2 will be Municipal Emergency Control Group COVID update dated April 20th, 2021. So with that, the recommendation is that the regular council meeting agenda for Tuesday, April 20th, 2021 be approved as amended. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Peplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. All those in favor? And that's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest today?
None here.
Okay, I see none. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, I was going to say good morning, everyone, but I guess I better start with good afternoon, everyone. This is National Volunteer Week in Canada. Volunteer Week is an opportunity to recognize, celebrate, and thank the many volunteers and volunteer organizations that make significant contributions to our quality of life every day. Madawaska Valley has an astonishing number of dedicated, caring volunteers whose time, effort, and energy put the spirit, heart, and soul into our community. Volunteerism is alive and thriving in spite of COVID-19. Over the past year, volunteers have stepped up to meet the needs of vulnerable family members, friends, and neighbors to keep them healthy and safe. Many of our volunteer organizations have found new and creative ways to provide services and activities that support our social well-being while following the guidelines of public health. With public vaccination programs ramping up, volunteers are assisting with appointment bookings and providing administrative support to local vaccination clinics so healthcare providers can focus on giving vaccines. There are countless ways that volunteers are making a difference, and there are still opportunities for those who want to contribute. On behalf of Council, I'd like to thank our many volunteers and volunteer organizations across Madawaska Valley, and remind everyone to please take the time to nominate a deserving youth, adult, senior, or community group for an MV Volunteer Appreciation Award. Nominations for these awards are due on May 15th. At the beginning of April, a provincial declaration of emergency and another province-wide stay-at-home order came into effect. Premier Ford said he was pulling the emergency brake to stop the spread of COVID-19, prevent hospitals from becoming overwhelmed, keep children in schools, allow more time to vaccinate people, and to save lives. At the beginning of April break, schools were closed and students were shifted to online learning. Last Friday, the province-wide stay-at-home order was extended to 6 weeks. Further closures and enforcement measures were announced, and additional restrictions were placed on gatherings and travel. Across the province, COVID-19 variants of concern are spreading rapidly. Hospital ICUs are being overwhelmed, and young, healthy people are on ventilators and dying. Every day, I watch for the Renfrew County and District Health Unit to release their COVID-19 case numbers. I click on the email link and hold my breath. I hope that the numbers won't be too bad. I pray that at least they won't be too bad in Madawaska Valley. And I wish with all my heart there was something I could do to keep you all safe. The reality is, only you can keep yourself safe. Only you can keep your family, friends, coworkers, and neighbors safe. Only you can keep Madawaska Valley safe. When your turn comes, please get vaccinated. Any vaccine is better than no vaccine. Whether you are vaccinated or not, please continue to wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, wash your hands, and stay home in your own household. No one wants to live with these restrictions, and we're all tired of this pandemic. Let's volunteer to do everything we can to stop COVID-19. 3 waves are enough. We don't want to have a fourth. Thank you. Okay, so today we're at the confirmation of the minutes. We have the public meeting minutes of April 6, 2021. The recommendation is that the public meeting minutes for April 6, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Are there any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Our next set of minutes are the council and committee meeting minutes of April 6, 2021. And I'm going to exercise Sue and ask her to read the recommendations for the entire set of minutes.
That the council and committee meeting minutes for April 6, 2021 be approved as presented with the following recommendations. From Operations, Roads and Waste Management. That the letter from Bradley Law Office, letter dated March 12, 2021 be received as information. And that staff be directed to respond to Bradley Law Office to proceed in transferring Part 2 on Dam Lake Road as described to the township, and that all costs be borne by the proponents, Barry Rakuski and Randall Rakuski, and that a draft bylaw be presented at the April 20, 2021 regular council meeting. Second one, that the Brush Depot Spring 2021 report is accepted as information, and that staff be directed to initiate the Brush Depot annually from the beginning of spring determined by the operations manager and weather conditions until June 30th at Yard 2, 39844 Combermere Road, and Bark Lake Waste Disposal, 21956 Highway 60. Number 3, that the 2020 year-end operations report is accepted as presented. Recommendations, did you want to
I think
read them all?
You read them all and then we'll go back through them.
Okay. Operations, water, wastewater, and facilities recommendations. Number 1, that the 2020 Barry's Bay Wastewater Systems Annual Report be approved as presented. Number 2, that council approves the proposed scope to study the feasibility of expanding water and wastewater services to support growth in the servicing area as presented by Ontario Clean Water Agency. And that council directs staff to bring back a report for approval of timelines and costs for the project as proposed. and that Ontario Clean Water Agency and municipal staff investigate the process and costs for consideration for digitization of mapping of water and wastewater infrastructure and provide the findings for council's consideration. Under Recreation and Community Development Committee, number 1, that the proposed budget and proposed schedule for 2021 be received as information. 2, that council directs staff to open bookings for 2021 at the PJYCC under COVID restrictions and RCDHU guidance, which is Renfrew County District Health Unit. And that council directs staff to plan for renovation at the PJYCC in spring of 2022 and close the PJYCC for event rentals from April to September 2022. And that council directs staff to refund the deposit paid for 2022 bookings. Number 3, that council accept the Madawaska Valley Volunteer Awards 2021 report as information. And that council directs staff to promote, advertise for the 2021 Madawaska Valley Volunteer Awards. And that the volunteer celebration barbecue gift certificates for 2021 volunteers be funded from the new initiatives budget and annually budgeted thereafter. Number 4, that council approves the Barry's Bay Legion Honor Our Veterans Banners program. And that council approves the staff time as donation in kind toward the installation of the banners throughout the township of Madawaska Valley, in Barry's Bay, Combermere, and Wilno as required. Number 5, that a communication, marketing, and promotion working group be established, and that members of that group include the Deputy Clerk, Communications Coordinator, Recreation Community Development Coordinator, Councillor Wilmer, and Councillor Poplinski starting immediately, and that recommendations be brought forward for council consideration and updates. Under Planning Matters and Statutory Meeting under Planning Act, number 1, that council receive the municipal property report as information, and that a working group be formed with Mayor Love, Councillor Schulist, the Deputy Clerk, the Recreation Community Development Coordinator, and planning staff. Number 2, that council directs the treasurer to ensure the reserve policy includes that the net proceeds from the sales of shoreline road allowance retroactive to January 1, 2021, and it be redirected from general reserves to reserve fund to maintain public water access, wharfs and docks, and beach access for recreational needs. Under Finance and Administration, number 1, that staff is directed to accept the quote from Tom Schmidt Construction for phase 1 of the municipal office renovations as presented in the amount of $15,640 HST excluded and be withdrawn from account 10100799998 capital expenditures. Number 2, whereas 12.7 million Canadian volunteers give their time to help others, contributing close to 2 billion volunteer hours per year. And whereas volunteers in the township of Madawaska Valley mentor our children, feed our hungry, comfort our lonely, beautify our green spaces, fundraise for our charitable organizations, and provide social and recreational activities. And whereas volunteers in the township of Madawaska Valley have stepped up during the COVID-19 pandemic to support families, friends, neighbors, and strangers, people standing up to the systemic racism, and people sharing insights on how to create a more just and equitable society. And whereas the township of Madawaska Valley's volunteers are young, old, families, workers, retirees, men and women of all ages and backgrounds. And whereas the collective result of the work done by our city's volunteers in that the township of Madawaska Valley is a more desirable place to live. And whereas organizations in the township of Madawaska Valley that rely on volunteers include such fundamental organizations as the Volunteer Fire Department, the Madawaska Valley Public Library, Recreation Parks and Museums, Madawaska Valley Food Bank, St. Francis Memorial Hospital, the Royal Canadian Legion, Lions Clubs, Opeongo Seniors, and many other groups, organizations, and individuals. Now, therefore, I, Kim Love, Mayor of the Township of Madawaska Valley, do hereby proclaim April 18 to 24, 2021 as National Volunteer Week and urge my fellow citizens to recognize the crucial role played by volunteers in our community.
Oh, thank you, Sue. It's a lengthy read. Okay, so could I get someone move the recommendations, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. So we'll start with Operations, Roads and Waste Management, and I'm going to ask Chair Bromwich if he would like to speak to any of the recommendations.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think there's much to discuss here. The first recommendation was that there was a transferring of Part 2 on Dam Lake to Barry Rikuski and Randall Rikuski, which I think was overlooked previously, and it was just catching up on business. And the second is the Brush Depot Spring 2021 report. And we've actually made this into an annual project instead of having to bring it back to council each year. So anybody with brush can deposit it down at yard number 2 on Covermere Road. And it's been very well received. Keeps the fire hazards down in people's yards. A little extra time in the truck would take the brush out there, would eliminate an awful lot of problems for our volunteer firefighters. So thank you for that. And also move those if you wouldn't, or have we already
Okay.
voted on it? No.
So I already have a mover for all of them.
Right, okay.
Recall we are simplifying our process, but I do want to give each chair an opportunity
Okay,
to speak to any recommendations from their committee work.
thank you.
So our next is operations, water, wastewater, and facilities, and I'll just ask Chair Schulist if he would like to speak to the recommendations.
Yes, to you, Madam Mayor. The annual report was presented to us. Everything seemed to have gone really well. We got a good report from our staff. Number 2 is, I think I'm actually getting excited about finding out, how we can grow our system and so on. So yeah, and then council basically supported going in that direction. So basically that's it. So I have no other problems.
Okay, great. Thank you. I do note there were no recommendations from this specific meeting from fire and protection. So I'll move on to Recreation and Community Development Committee, noting that Councillor Wilmer, who is the chair, is not here. On behalf of Chair Wilmer, I would note that the renovations planned this year for the PJYCC have been deferred to next year, so the arena is available as a mass vaccination center should it be needed. In terms of the rest of the recommendations, there are 2 of them that I would like to clarify. And Sue, I didn't get a chance to speak to you about this, and I do apologize. We've been really busy. On recommendation number 1, it is that the proposed budget and proposed schedule for 2021 be received as information. I had a quick look back at this is in reference to the Barry's Bay BIA, and I had a quick look back at the bylaw that created the BIA, and did note that it says the budget approved by council. I suspicion we do need to identify that we are approving the budget they submitted to us. So with the indulgence of the mover and the seconder, I would recommend that we amend recommendation number 1 just to make that clear by stating that council approves the 2021 Barry's Bay BIA budget as presented, and that the BIA proposed schedule for 2021 be received as information. Would that be acceptable to the mover and the seconder? Okay. Yeah, okay, so they both concurred to that. I can send that wording if you'd like, but I just want to make sure we've ticked that box. And then just in relation to recommendation number 5, I noticed, Sue, when you read the recommendation, you substituted Councillor Wilmer for Councillor Schulist. And since in the meeting, it was Councillor Schulist who requested to be part of the working group, but I do understand since the meeting, Councillor Schulist and Councillor Wilmer have had a conversation, and Councillor Schulist, could you just enlighten us? Yep, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I think it was important for the chair of recreation to be part of this. And then after I got myself into the other committee working group, which I'm going to be working with you on the surplus land and so on. So I thought it was proper for me to step down, and Councillor Wilmer was quite happy to take that position, because I know he also expressed interest at the last meeting. Yes, so if we could change that, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. So just letting council know, I know, Sue, you did read Councillor Wilmer, but they both did agree to that exchange. Those were the only two things that I did note in terms of Recreation Community Development Committee. In terms of planning matters, statutory meeting under Planning Act, as chair, I had nothing further to add. And under Finance and Administration, I also had nothing further to add to the recommendations. So with that, I'm going to ask, are there any of these recommendations that council wishes to discuss? Councillor Poplinski. Oh, sorry, sir, you need to unmute.
It's the one dealing with planning and the proceeds from the shoreline road allowances. There's an issue at the Cumbermere dock, which I happened to check out the other day, and part of it is very unstable. And I'm wondering if we could bring this up at this point just to alert the our operations manager, and maybe they could have a look at it. And it's okay this money to be spent, but we have an issue, and now the dock is going to be much used in the next few weeks. So I'm wondering whether we could alert him to an issue that needs to be attended to.
I will
Thank
put, oh, sorry, I'll
Go-
put that as a, an action item for operations. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Poplinski, for letting us know that there's an issue. When
Yeah.
council sees there's something that does need to be attended to, please make sure that you contact the CAO, and we'll make sure that those repairs get done. Was there any other of these recommendations that council wish to discuss? Okay, so we are good as amended. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I did have one, and I just slipped by. It's on page 28 under 14.8. It's the bylaw for wastewater budget and rates for 2021. Just in the recording of the resolution, it says being a bylaw to adopt the 2021 wastewater system budget and establish the water system rates. If we could just change water to wastewater, it's very minor, but kind of important. Didn't catch that one when we did it. So
So noted.
thanks, Sue. That's great. So if there's nothing further on these minutes, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of them as amended? Okay, and that's good. So that's as amended, please. All right. Got to move. Give me 1 second. I've got to just get rid of a couple pages here. Our next item is the special council meeting minutes of the April 9th, 2021 meeting. The recommendation is that the special council meeting minutes for April 9th, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Schulist, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Are there any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. And finally, we have the special council meeting minutes of April 12th, 2021. The recommendation is that the special council meeting minutes for April 12th, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, I don't see any council member with any. I just want to note to the public that the water and wastewater budgets that were adopted on bylaw 2021-33 and bylaw 2021-34 were the amended budgets presented by the treasurer earlier in the meeting. And I apologize, I don't think I made that very clear. I should have made that very clear at the time we were passing those bylaws. So I do want to note that. And council will be receiving a copy of the municipal budget and the water and wastewater budgets from the treasurer. So you'll get your book of budgets when as soon as she has an opportunity to get those ready. Is there any further business arising from the minutes? Okay, I don't see any. All right, municipal reports. We have Community Safety Policing Act information session. And Sue, this is your report. I wondered if you wanted to speak to the information session.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this resulted from our regular council meeting on April 15th. Councillor Poplinski, during our fire committee portion of the meeting, asked staff to follow up with the Ministry of Solicitor General to see if we could possibly organize hosting a meeting for our township. So the deputy clerk extended that invitation to all of the members of the CPAC group. And we were very pleased that even though with that short notice, I believe that 6 of the 7 organizations were able to join. So I just basically added some of the information from that meeting, but the important part being that it was agreed by consensus of those in attendance that they would seek support from their councils to approve one detachment board composed of 11 members, one representative from each municipality, one representative from Pikwakanagan, one provincial appointee from within the area of South Algonquin, Madawaska Valley, Brudenell, Lyndoch, and Raglan and Pikwakanagan, one provincial appointee from within the area of Killaloe, Haggard and Richards, North Algona, Wilberforce, and Bonnechere Valley, and 2 community appointments from each of the areas similar to the provincial appointees. We did agree to that each represented municipality would bring this forward to their councils to see if they were in agreement that there would be one board for all of us. You do have the option to have your own board as a municipality as well. I have a resolution before you for consideration.
Okay, did you want to read the resolution first, or actually we probably should discuss it?
Yes,
because we
please.
do need to provide a name for the group that will work on the proposal.
I just wanted to clarify my reference to Pikwakanagan was the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan First Nation.
Thank you. Any questions from council on this? Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, Mayor Love, I think I'm on, am I?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay, yeah, just comments. The meeting, I just happened that particular day. Once again, I had some technical issues and I wasn't able to participate, much to my surprise. Gwen was able to capture it all on a disc, which I was able to sit through and make notes. I'd made 3 or 4 pages of notes from the meeting. I thought it was extremely well handled, and many of the topics and questions came up and were answered by the 2 people from the Solicitor General's office. And I thought it was very helpful. There were a couple of points that came about, and that was the cost of having people appointed to the board. And I think that it was Mayor Jennifer Murphy had a lot to really worthwhile information to offer, and how because they were a Section 10 and they were dealing with some issues that we wouldn't have done at the CPAC. So, and it was where they paid a stipend of $50 per meeting. Now, one of the questions I would have had I been able to be live there was how much were the appointees by the government? Is they are actually paying that portion. So I think that's something we need to determine, because if we're paying some people $50, we're paying somebody else 75 or 100, we should be uniform on that. And so that was one of the points that came out in one of my questions, and it was raised during the meeting, and it was one which I had, was will we be able to use the funds from the cannabis fund towards the cost of the police sports? And hopefully that will come back. I never did get an opportunity to ask that question, but if it is something that Gwen, that you could make a note of and perhaps pursue that would be very important moving forward. But I look forward to trying to help out in whatever manner I can in this. It seems like this is going to take quite a little bit of work to get all set up properly, but I think that we're well on the way of doing that. So I look forward to seeing it in action.
Okay, thank you, Sue.
I just wanted to advise Councillor Poplinski, during the session, I did ask the question and they weren't sure. They are going to get back to everyone that was in attendance. So we'll probably get that by email so we can provide that clarification. And it was also sent to the clerks group in the event that some of their councils discuss it as well.
Okay. So at this point, what we're looking for is we need someone who is willing to meet with the partners. Each partner would be sending one representative to formulate the proposal. And it's in a very short turnaround time. I do believe we have to have it done by June 7th and in. So that's purely all that's being asked at this point in time. And then at a later date, we don't have to appoint a representative to the Police Services Board at this point in time. We just need to have someone meet with them to prepare that proposal. So I'd like to know who would like to do that. If council wishes that the mayor do that, I can do that negotiation again, or if there is someone else who would like to do that. We need a name so that I can have Sue read the resolution. Who wants the work? Councillor Poplinski.
Mayor Love, I would suggest that it be you. And you could bring back then, of course, and I think it would sort of make it simpler. And I think if all of the appointees at this point are people, the mayor or equivalent type of thing, I think we can get this on the road quicker and understand you won't be the appointee to the board, but I think at that point, that's not what's being asked. So I would say,
Okay.
I would support your being there to do that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Poplinski. Would that be all right with the rest of council? Does anyone have any concerns with that? I'm getting thumbs up. You guys love to give me work. Okay, I don't have a concern with that. I do know all of the mayors very well from county council. I would look forward to actually getting to know Chief Jocko from the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan First Nation, because this would be actually my first opportunity to really interact with them since she became chief. So Sue, I guess if you would like to put my name in there for that, as I say, this is not to be the representative on the Police Services Board. I would presume that that would be a matter that would come back to probably, whether he likes it or not, Chair Poplinski. That's going to be his work going forward. But to get the bit of negotiation done in time and get the proposal in, I am willing to do that. So Sue, could you read the recommendation and please just insert my name for getting the proposal done.
Through the chair, whereas municipalities and First Nation communities receiving direct and/or supplemental services from an OPP detachment are being asked to submit one proposal per detachment, indicating the composition of their board and, if needed, a rationale for multiple boards and the composition of each additional board. And whereas municipalities and First Nations within a detachment are asked to work together to determine the composition of their board, as well as the manner in which they will submit their proposal to the ministry. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Madawaska Valley hereby supports a detachment board composition of 11, with one representative from each municipality, one from the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan First Nation, one provincial appointees from within the area of South Algonquin, Madawaska Valley, Brudenell-Lyndoch, and Raglan Township, and Pikwakanagan, one provincial appointee from within the area of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, North Algona, Wilberforce, and Bonashare Valley, and two community appointments, one from each of the area similar to the provincial appointees. And further, that council hereby appoints Mayor Love as the representative for the Township of Madawaska Valley. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to CPAC Secretary and Deputy CAO Clerk Treasurer Tammy Gourgeois at Killaloe, Haggerty and Richards.
Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Is there any discussion on the recommendation? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right, our second item under municipal reports is the addition to the agenda. It's the Municipal Emergency Control Group COVID update from April 20th, 2021. And the author of it is Gwen. And Gwen, I'm going to ask you to join us. I'm giving you some screen time and speak to the COVID update.
Thank you. So over the weekend, we received some information on Friday about some provincial changes. And on Saturday, we received some more information on the provincial changes. So we started off closing our playgrounds on Friday, and then on Saturday, opened them back up after the changes were made. Some of the staff changes that we've done here in the office or concerns that we'll bring forward is, so far, building permits are being issued. Some information was brought to our attention this morning, and we might look at that again. So that may change. Our boat launches are open. The Barry's Bay boat launch wharf fingers are not installed yet, but Comber-Mare is open for business. Staff that can work from home will be working from home. Some changes may come about with this as well, as we're looking at how we can change that or accommodate some more staff to work from home. We've put in some mitigation measures here at the office for staff that do attend, and one of them is we all sign in and do our COVID check, assuring that we are hopefully safe when we enter the workforce. So the daily screening is being done. We contacted the OPP to see clarification, as that was one of the changes that were brought about from Friday to Saturday to Sunday. So we've checked with them to see how they're handling complaints, which I'd forwarded to council by email. And I have to say that we have been working with local and provincial agencies as needed, and we continue to build a relationship with them through emergency management, with the OPP, Brantford County District Health Unit, and the Vaccine Working Group. There's sometimes a lot going on behind the scenes that council isn't aware of, so if there's any questions, please ask. Some other things that have changed here: firefighting training is on hold until after the order is lifted, and any council staff tours or site visits will be postponed until after the order is lifted as well. The CAO clerk did contact the vaccination team to see if or when the Paul J. Yakubowski Community Center will be used as a vaccine site. And at this time, the Legion is still working well for them. So until further vaccines are rolled out, we will update you if the PJY will be used. And we will continue to meet as changes are brought forward. That's all.
Okay, thank you. It was probably very interesting to try to write this report, considering every day what was in it had to change.
Yes.
I certainly appreciate that you worked on that over the weekend, Gwen, and you made sure you
Well,
had
not
it to
just me,
us.
but all staff. A lot of staff had to work over the weekend to make the changes needed.
Well, and the changes being announced on a Friday, that's a natural.
Yes.
Are there any
yeah.
questions from council? Anything you want clarified about where we're at in our new hyper lockdown situation? Any questions on what's been presented? Sue?
I had a question just to advise council. I'm not sure, Gwen, if you wanted to talk about during our staff meeting, one of the suggestions that was made for the equipment at the doors. You were researching availability for the pump with the thermometer. I'm not sure what it's called.
Yes, that's true. We did. You can now purchase hand sanitizer dispensers with a automatic thermometer attached to them. So we're going to pick up one and see how it works. And because they're quite fairly new, so there was no feedback on how well they work or not, but we're kind of hoping there's an alarm that goes off if your temperature is too high, so people won't enter any further into the building, just to assist with keeping ourselves safe.
Okay, interesting. They come up with new things every day, right?
Yep.
Yes, the staff members saw it in a local business, and we
Oh.
thought it was very interesting. And it ranges between 120 and 150.
Mhm.
So we thought we would try one and see how it works, and possibly extend it to our facilities.
Okay, great. Thank you. I recognize that when the announcement was made on Friday, playgrounds were closed. And then over the weekend, that was, I will say, retracted, and playgrounds were allowed to be open. So our playgrounds are open, but can somebody clarify for me, do we have a cleaning regimen that is used on playground structures, or is this a case of the public needs to be aware that if you are using the playground structure, it is at your own risk? Please make sure your children clean their hands before they eat snacks or put their hands in their mouth. So can somebody clarify for me, just so that it's also clarifying for the public?
That's true, Mayor Love, that the parks are open and the playgrounds are open, but they are not sanitized. So when people use them, they're to be using them at their own risk.
Okay, so public, please note that if your children are playing on the playground structures, we just don't have the capacity to keep them sanitized as per what would be required. So be mindful, and parents can take responsibility for ensuring that their kids are cleaning their hands after they're on the playground structure, and also appropriate distancing when they're using it with other children.
They do ask that you wear masks.
Okay, yeah,
Provincial order suggests that you wear masks if you're at a playground.
Okay, that's good to note as well. Any other questions? I know things did change a lot over the weekend, and council may have got calls, or people may have expressed concerns. We're doing our absolute best to keep up with it. I would just note to council, I believe Sue and I have another meeting this week with Dr. Cushman, along with all the other mayors, for a quick go over where we're at this point in time. I'm certain that there will be some discussion, because there was a significant increase in our case numbers in Madawaska Valley yesterday in the case summary that came out. So I'm anticipating that there will be some discussion with Dr. Cushman. I think it's on Thursday, our meeting is. And whatever I do learn from that, I will get back to council with and let you guys know, keep everybody in the loop. Is there anything further on this report? Okay. Do I need a motion to accept the report,
No.
Sue? Or Gwen?
No,
Gwen?
sorry. No, you don't.
Okay, well, I certainly appreciate the report, and council appreciates all the information that you're providing to us, and the fact that as our CEMC, I think you're our CEMC alternate,
Mhm.
that you're keeping us up to speed with all as much as you can with everything that's changing and swirling around us. So thank you, Gwen.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Lev. My only comment is that you mentioned that you're monitoring the local situation and would keep us appraised, especially if it's something in our immediate area that we might be able to have some influence on. I've noticed in the last 2 weekends, people were visiting from out of town, and with this lockdown, families, and in and out of the store in Combermere and out at the dock. And while I was down checking on this dock thing, hanging around the gazebo, and just a lot of people. And I'm thinking, what's happening? Like, these people are told to stay home, but they're obviously visiting relatives or friends in the area. And I'm wondering if, and I'm sure that's a lot of this transmission it's coming from out of town. It's not dropping from the air. So people are bringing it in. But if it is something that we should be a little more cognizant of, and if there was some suggestion that it was in one of the local schools, well, maybe we just need to proact if we can in some of the, with some of the people, and try and stop some of this, because there are many people abiding by the rules and living like groundhogs for the last year and a half, and others are just moving around with no sense of responsibility whatsoever. So if there's something we can do, then let's try and do it, you know?
Absolutely, Councillor Poplinski. I have to say that at this point in time, although we saw an increase in our numbers yesterday, I have not been contacted, and I don't believe Sue has either, by the health unit or by Dr. Cushman. So as I say, the best I can do is wait for the Thursday meeting. And if I get any further information at that point, I will share it with council. And should there be anything that we can do, we will, of course, call a special meeting if need be and have a discussion about that and implement anything if there is something we can do. But again, without information
Right.
to share, or without information at this point, I really don't have any more that I can say to council. I've been waiting to see if there would be a press release. I do hope council is not tired of me bombarding them with press releases, but I am the person who seems to get everything. Sue gets some things, Gwen gets some other things. It all comes to me, so I've been packaging it up as one unit to send out to you every 2 or 3 days to make sure that you have as much information as I have, because I know that members of the public may ask you questions, and it's important that you're well informed. So I will continue to do that, but so far, as I say, there hasn't been anything beyond the case summaries that I shared with you, I believe, yesterday. Sue.
And I wanted to add as well that the deputy clerk has modified the COVID page. So as soon as you go on the website, the Renfrew County link is right on that tab. So they don't have to look for it. And that's where the updates are. And they're updated quite frequently as we send them to you.
And I do thank her for that, because that was a request that was made at one of our mayor's meetings with Dr. Cushman. He requested specifically that municipalities make it easy for people to connect directly with the health unit website, because even they are struggling to keep up with the changes and to get the most recent information on their website. So it is the best resource because it is most likely to be the most up to date. So if anyone has questions about vaccinations, about COVID, about current restrictions or lockdowns, I would definitely direct them to Renfrew County and District Health Unit's website. If you don't know how to get there, go to Madawaska Valley's website. As soon as you click on it, up will pop our COVID pop-up, and you'll see right on that pop-up, there is a link that you can click on that will take you directly to Renfrew County and District Health Unit's COVID page. So thank you, Gwen, for getting that done. I can say when we meet with Dr. Cushman that I have made sure that my homework got done. Okay, thanks everyone. Good discussion. Today we are not doing standing committees. We do have bylaws, and you know, Sue, I should have probably amended the agenda to remove bylaw 2021-40. I never thought of it. It was a long morning and a short lunch. So I'm not sure what I do with that. I guess we just will not do a reading on it. Sue?
Well, you can ask Councillor Poplinski and Councillor Schulis for an amiable amendment to that and include it in your resolution.
Okay, so I will ask, because Councillor Poplinski and Councillor Schulis did, sorry, we are tired, move and second to adopt the agenda, and we really should have removed bylaw 2021-40 at this point in time. It is something that will come back to our next council meeting, and this particular version is not going forward.
And just a reminder that the confirmation bylaw number will then change.
Yes.
To replace that number.
Yes, absolutely. So if that is that okay with the mover and the seconder?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Now,
okay.
do I need to redo the vote on that? Councillor Bromwich, do you have any concerns with that? You're good? Okay. So just note then that that bylaw is removed from this agenda. And we'll begin our bylaws with bylaw 2021-38. It's regarding a development agreement with respect to part of lot 33, concession 1, part of lots 33 and 34, and part of the shoreline road allowance along Kaministkeg Lake, concession 1, geographic township of Sherwood. Condition of severance application B47-20, Mark Ian Zurikowski, Robin Lynn Bell, and Ian Avitas Moffat. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-38, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into and execution of a development agreement between Mark Ian Zurikowski, the Township of Madawaska Valley, Robin Lynn Bell, Ian Avitas Moffat, be given first and second reading this 20th day of April 2021. Could I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Is there any discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-38 be given third and final reading this 20th day of April 2021. Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Our second bylaw is bylaw 2021-39 regarding being a bylaw with respect to the acquisition of that part of lot 19, concession 9, designated as part 2 on reference plan 49R-19733, and dedication of same as a public highway in the geographic township of Radcliffe in the township of Madawaska Valley, Dam Lake Road, Barry and Randall Rakowski. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-39, being a bylaw to acquire and dedicate land as a public highway, be given first and second reading this 20th day of April 2021. Could I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Is there any discussion on this bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-39 be given third and final reading this 20th day of April 2021. Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, where are we at? Our next item is correspondence information. It is a letter from St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation, dated April 13th, 2021, and it is regarding the Valley Manor redevelopment campaign. So the St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation is sharing some excellent news about the Valley Manor redevelopment campaign. The campaign has doubled its fundraising goal to raise $1 million towards the new Valley Manor build. That's pretty exciting. They set out to raise 500,000 and they raised $1 million. Any comments from council on that? I think it's really good for the public to know that the campaign was so successful, and I do appreciate that they did send us this communication just to let council know so we could then also pass that on to the public. So we thank them for the information, and we really do look forward to the shovel going in the ground and that project getting started. All right, our next correspondence item is an action item. It is Madawaska Valley District High School Annual Award. And I have the award form here, but we do have a recommendation. Sue, could you read the recommendation?
Yes, through the chair, that council and committee recommend council approve a $250 bursary for the Madawaska Valley District High School cooperative education student that assisted at the municipal office for the first term of 2020. And that an additional $250 bursary be provided to a Madawaska Valley resident student that has demonstrated financial need, and that they meet the requirements with attending post-secondary education or apprenticeship.
Okay, could we just amend the recommendation to just say that council approve, because we don't actually need council and committee? Okay. Could I get a mover for that, as I noted, just as amended? Moved by Councillor Schulist, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Is there any discussion on the recommendation? I think this is something we do every year, I do believe. We try to provide about $500 in bursary to our local high school to help our students in need. Okay, if there's no discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's carried. Next, we have a resolution from Whitewater Region dated April 7th, 2021 regarding navigation on the Ottawa River. Is council interested in supporting this resolution, or would you prefer that we accept it as information? Councillor Poplinski.
Yeah, after seeing this, I tried to do a little research online, and I'm not really sure why they want to, cut down the navigation on the river. I just, there's obviously something happening, but at this point, I wouldn't, I don't want to just, I know the big issues with the whitewater rafting and so on are going to have major implications, but there must be something a little more significant why they're doing this. And I'm wondering if we could get some more information on it. It may be something that we should, because it may be also something that could be applied in our area. They talk about flooding and so on, but there's very little information I found.
Sue?
I can send an email to the clerk seeking more information if you'd like.
Okay, so why don't we then just defer this to our next agenda, and when we'll have some further information, if that's okay with council? Okay, we will do that. Our next item is a resolution from Muskoka Lakes dated April 7th, 2021 regarding a decibel coalition. Is this something council would like to support, or is it something we would like to accept as information?
I don't think it's anything that really affects us that much here.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else have any interest in supporting it, so I'll suggest that we just accept this as information. Okay. All right, so that takes us through everything on our agenda. Sue, is there any new business or unfinished business?
I do not have any.
Okay, then we will move to the in-camera session. The recommendation is that the meeting enter in-camera session to discuss matters pertaining to the security of the property of the municipality or local board, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Ontario Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 239, 2A, B, C, E, and F. Number 1 will be the council and committee meeting minutes in camera of April 6, 2021. Number 2 is the special council meeting minutes in camera of April 9th, 2021. Number 3, special council meeting minutes in camera of April 12th, 2021. Number 4, Kingdon Holdings Limited update. And number 5, Lakewood subdivision update. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. All those in favor? And that's carried. So we are in camera, and I will wait for Gwen to